Alright, today we're going to build a antenna. We're going to use this tubing. I bought this off of Amazon. This is 5/16 aluminum tubing. And I've straightened this section of it. Basically to straighten it out, you just kind of unfold a little bit of it here. You get it close. And then I made this straightener that slides over the end of it. And you just keep sliding it down the tubing. And it'll keep straightening it out. You can make one of these with a wooden block if you want, but get you a little section of it straightened out. And I've already cut a tube right here that's pretty straight. I mean, I would like for it to be perfectly straight. They're probably never going to get them perfectly straight, but it's pretty straight as it is. I like to look down it, and because you know your antenna look like crap, it's all bent everywhere, but that's pretty good. So we're going to make a slim jim or folded dipole, and I'm going to show you how to do it. If you're going to make a slim jim, and you got the tuning section down here, and let's say it's supposed to be 12 centimeters from the end to the end of this curve right here. So I'm just going to mark 12 right here on just a little dot from this end down here, and then I'm going to slide my tubing bender. By the way, all these measurements are in metric, so if that offends you, I guess don't watch the video. Anyway, so this is a tubing bender that I printed. These are printed with 10 walls. They got to be pretty heavy duty because the aluminum, you know, it's aluminum, so it's going to be hard to bend. So anyway, we're going to slide this into the bender, and we're going to put this mark at the top edge of the bender. So we're sliding in like this, and that's pretty close. Normally I would hook the tape down here and measure to the top of it, probably this way, so I'm centered like that. So 12 millimeter or centimeters is about 4 3/4, so it needs to come down just a tad more, about like that, and then measure it again. Yeah, that's about right. And then we just hold this side and we start bending, and we move this a little as we bend. It kind of keeps it clamped against the mold. So bend, move the clamp, bend, keep doing that. And then we got it folded. Now, the trick here is to keep the clamp up inside the aluminum. So you see it's open a little bit right here when I got the aluminum pushed all the way down. So you need to overbend it just a little. Something like that. Then I usually put the clamp in the middle and open it up till it looks about straight. Maybe somewhere in there. And slide the clamp off. And we got our first bend. Now it's not a perfect bend. I mean, this is a plastic bender. You can buy a tubing bender if you want, but so that's how I bend them. And now it's 12 centimeters from here up to the peak of this bend right inside here. And so that's our first piece. So I've got one here that I finished. This is a UHF antenna. This is the tuning section. I went around with the tubing bender up here, and then of course this section was still straight at the time, so I slid the bender off, or you can go around this way and take it off. And then I moved it all the way up to here, bent it again, and then slid it off down here at the gap. And so that's basically our element. So we're good there. We're just going to set that aside for now. Okay, now to the other printed parts. So obviously we printed the bender, not using that anymore, and we printed the straightener, not using that anymore. So this is the clamshell that clamps the coax. I put heat set nuts in here through the back. So there's 4 brass nuts. These are 3 millimeter. I got these in a kit off of Amazon. Looks like this. I use this quite a bit for all kinds of different projects. A couple bucks. I think it was $8 for this box. So I put heat set nuts in here, and you want to clean up the inside groove here on both halves of it. And then on this side, there's 4 3 millimeter screws that'll go in there. So like that. They tighten up. But before we do that, we take a piece of coax. Now usually it's, you know, it's like 2 feet of coax. This is just a little stub I had left over, and we'll strip the end of it I'm not going to go through all this in great detail with you because it's painful. Alright, we've stripped our coax and we've bent it and laid it in here. So normally, the first few of these I made, I just ran the leads over, so the center lead and the ground, I just ran them over and just let the clamshell clamp onto it. I just pushed the wire down like that, so it was a little bit bent, you know, in profile with the tubing, and just kind of let the braid lay over here and run with it like that. And then you would put your element on it like so and tighten it down, and that works. But I found it's better if you go ahead and trim these off real short, so near the edge, and that's why there's extra space inside here. Put a flat piece of copper, it's about 60 thousandths thick maybe. It's not super thick, but it's not paper thin either. Just solder that on there and let that lay in here. It gives you a little bit better contact area. But you can get by with this. This will work. I just prefer the other way. I think it's more reliable. Anyway, so you'll put your copper strips on, and then the ground side, of course, goes to the stub side, which on the Slim Jims, that's going to be the short side. So ground side would lay in here like this. But I'm just going to use this little demo piece for now. So this will lay in here like this, and then this top clamp, which also has a recess for the coax, will go on here, and then this will go in here, and you start tightening these screws up. Now you just get them kind of snug. You don't want to get them crazy tight, especially in the beginning, because you know we're just putting it together. But you'll get those snugged up, and then hold on. So we got, you know, I just got one screw in it right now, but you can see the center lead over here. You can see the ground over here, and you can now slide this up and down to adjust your SWR, your contact point with your element, so that you get your best SWR match. And this should stay in the groove inside here, but again, those little copper tabs work better. The print's a little ugly. I wasn't worried about it being pretty, because after all these screws are in here and the SWR gets set, I clamp these down real good, and then I dope this with that liquid rubber, and it runs down inside here and everywhere else, and keeps it watertight. So that's how the little clamshell works. Now we'll just go ahead and kind of mock assemble a whole antenna. Okay, here would be the whole thing. So we got our clamshell on here. We can slide it up and down to you know, tune our SWR. So up, down, wherever our best SWR is. Now these are just little spreaders that keep the elements straight, and I just run a zip tie around here to hold these, and that's pretty much it. And then I have for my purposes, I have a ring that goes around this and attaches to my mast. I have a complete VHF antenna over here that I will show you, but I also have these little coax housings. Now you can use the end connectors or the SO239 connectors, depends on what you want. But that'll go on the end of your PVC down here. Your SO239 will go in there. You slip this over your coax, which normally is longer, and then solder your coax on, and then put this on here. And I just put a drop or two of super glue on it just to hold it in place, and then I squirt this full of silicone so that it waterproofs it. And then I'll go ahead and dope this again with the liquid rubber. But this PVC stub, it can stop right here. It doesn't have to be this long. This is just a piece of scrap I had left over. You know, kind of like these are just some scraps that I had that I'm not going to use because they're ugly. I'm just demoing. But this is the UHF version. The VHF version goes together exactly the same way. It's, of course, a longer antenna. The spreaders are a little bit wider because I use a 3/8 tube instead of 5/16. So this radius is a little bit bigger because it was hard to get the 3/8 tube to fit that radius. But that's how I'm making these antennas. They're quite easy. I love the simplicity of building the Slim Jim antennas. They're fantastic and they work good. So that's how I'm doing it, and that's how I'm using the printed parts. You know, some of you may have concerns about the parts getting hot in the sun. These are printed with 6 watts, so they're pretty tough, and they got to get about 300 degrees Fahrenheit before they start to distort. And that needs to be like with no air circulation. There's going to be some air moving around this, so these don't get that hot. They don't get hot enough to melt anyway. I'll put it that way. And you know, as far as the PVC and how you're going to attach it, you can do that however you want. I'll show you my VHF antenna, how I did it, but this works pretty well. You can put a PVC T in here and then glue stubs inside this in the T, so you have a standoff coming off the antenna, you know, a foot, 5 foot, whatever you want. If you're going to do that and you get too far away, the PVC will start to sag down though, so you might want to put more of these spreaders on here. Maybe put one down here, or maybe higher up, so you can spread, you know, you can put 2 T's in it and spread out the weight. But that's not really an antenna problem, it's more of a mounting thing. So that's the antennas, and that's how I'm doing them. This is a VHF version. Same concept, got the same clamshell. Now I do have a spreader down here that I stopped using on the others. I have some left over, but it turns out this just isn't necessary. I don't need this. With this clamped on here, and then these other spreaders, which this thing's a little unwieldy, but with these other spreaders up here, you don't really need that one at the bottom. So here's the tuning gap for the VHF, but it's the same concept. I got a piece of half-inch PVC pipe that kind of ties all these together, and then connected to that half-inch is this this little bracket here, which just goes over my mast, which is insulated with a piece of PVC, and then I just run a zip tie around this part and around my mast, tie it onto the mast, and that seems to work pretty well. Slim jims and J-poles work best when there's some kind of choke down here at the end, so this PVC tube that's kind of integral to it right now, I just left about 4 inches sticking down. I probably should have cut this off. I may go ahead and cut this off because I don't really like it sticking down there. It looks like I just mismeasured, but just wrapped the coax around the PVC a few times. I think I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did about 6.5 wraps down here. Probably don't need that many. Probably 4 is enough. I think it also depends on your frequency. All that info's out on the internet, so you can look it up. But just wrap it a few times, hold it down with some black tape. This fits really tight on this PVC, so it's just a friction fit, but it ain't moving. Anyway, that's how I'm building the antennas. So hope you guys picked up something, and enjoy.